Welcome back for another reading from Created for a Purpose. You were created for a purpose. This is written by Dr. O. Lou Lawrence. The first chapter is Don't Think You Are an Accident. The second one is Discover Your Purpose. This is going to be the third chapter, and it's What Drives or Inspires You. Ecclesiastes 4:4. Again, I considered all travail and every right work, that for this a man is envied of his neighbor. This is also vanity and vexation of spirit. One thing I have observed is that the basic motive of success is the driving force of envy and jealousy. The man without a purpose is like a ship without a rudder, a waif, a nothing, a no man. If there is one thing you must understand, it is the fact that everyone's life is inspired by something. The word inspire is an action word, and most dictionaries define it as the ability to influence, control, or direct. Whether you are driving a car, a nail, or a golf ball, you are guiding, controlling, and directing it at that moment. Therefore, I ask you, beloved, what is the driving force in your life? Right now, you may be driven by a problem, a pressure, or a deadline. You may be driven by a painful memory, a haunting fear, or an unconscious belief. There are hundreds of circumstances, values, and emotions that can drive your life. Here are some of the most common ones. Many people are driven by guilt. They spend their entire life running from regrets and hiding their shame. Guilt driven people are manipulated by memories. They allow their past to control their future. They often unconsciously punish themselves by sabotaging their own success. When Cain sinned, his guilt disconnected him from God's presence, and God said, "You will be a restless wanderer on the earth." That describes most people today, wandering through life without a purpose. We are products of our past, but we do not have to become prisoners of it. God's purpose is not limited by our past. He turned a murderer named Moses into a leader, and a coward named Gideon into a courageous hero. And he can do amazing things with the rest of your life too. God specializes in giving people a fresh start. The Bible says, "What happiness for those whose guilt has been forgiven. What relief for those who have confessed their sins and God has cleared their records." Many people are driven by resentment and anger. They hold on to hurt and never get over them. Instead of releasing their pain through forgiveness, they will rehearse it over and over in their minds. Some resentment driven people claim and internalize their anger, while others blow up and explode it into others. Both responses are unhealthy and unhelpful. Resentment always hurts you more than it does the person you resent. While your offenders have probably forgotten the offense and gone on with life, you continue to stew in your pain, perpetuating the past. Those who have hurt you in the past cannot continue to hurt you now unless you hold onto the pain through resentment. Your past is past. Nothing will change it. You are only hurting yourself with your bitterness. For your own sake, learn from it and then let it go. The Bible says to worry yourself to death with resentments would be a foolish and senseless thing to do. Many people are driven by fear. Their fears may be a result of a traumatic experience, unrealistic expectation, growing up in a high control home, or even genetic predisposition. Regardless of the cause, fear driven people often miss great opportunities because they are afraid to venture out. Instead, they play it safe, avoiding risk and trying to maintain the status quo. Fear is a self imposed prison that will keep you from becoming what God intends you to be. You must move against it with the weapons of faith and love. The Bible says, well formed love banishes fear. Since fear is crippling, a fearful life, fear of death, fear of judgment, is one not yet fully formed in love, driven by wealth and materialism. The desire to acquire wealth and material possessions can so become a consuming passion. The drive to want more comes from the mistaken belief that more will make me happier, more important, and more secure. The truth is the very opposite. Possessions only provide temporal happiness. Your value is not determined by your valuables. This is because God has revealed it to us that the most valuable things in life are not things. Real security can only be found in that which can never be taken from you, your relationship with God. A popular writer, John Stott, wrote, certainly no one can know himself until he has honestly asked himself about his motives. What is the driving force of your life? What ambition dominates and directs you? Ultimately, there are only two controlling ambitions to which all others may be reduced. One is our own glory, and the other is God. That ends the reading for chapter 3. Again, this comes from Created for a Purpose by Dr. Olu Lawrence. I will see you for the next reading for chapter 4. Blessings.